Greetings, booktubers, and welcome to Sunday Comics. Greetings, booktubers. Welcome back to Grammaticus Books. Welcome to a Sunday Comics edition of Grammaticus Books, where today we're going to step outside of our normal bailiwick. We're going to expand our horizons a bit, and instead of talking about our normal fare of superhero comics or sword and sorcery, we are going to delve into the realm of cyberpunk gonzo journalism with Transmetropolitan. This is issue number 1 from 1997. This started in 1997. It ran until 2002, had a 5-year run, a total of 60 issues. It's created by Warren Ellis. Warren Ellis, who also worked on X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and Iron Man. But this was his longest running work and the one that he's most famous for. And it was drawn by Darick Robertson, who's probably most known for his work on The Boys. But Warren Ellis and Darick Robertson, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, were together for the entire 60-issue run here on this cyberpunk gonzo journalist, the hero of the story, Spider Jerusalem, who's here on the front cover, who is this combative, aggressive journalist working in the 23rd century, the United States of America, in the Transmetropolitan city that is known simply as The City. And this is the very first issue, issue number 1 from 1997, where Warren Ellis sets up the whole scene here and establishes the background on Spider Jerusalem as he returns to the city from his mountain retreat where he's been in isolation for the last 5 years, living off of the advance that his publisher gave him in order to write 2 books, which he hasn't written a single word of in the last 5 years. So his publisher calls him up on the phone, threatens to sue him into oblivion if he doesn't come back down to the city and fulfill his contract for this advance that they gave him, driving him out of his mountain retreat, for which he is immensely upset. And that is the setting here in issue number 1, giving you the backstory. And it is literally the prophet coming down from the mountain in order to spread the word, literally to spread the word, because the newspaper that he goes back to work for when he gets back into the city is known as The Word. And that's not accidental. That's how Warren Ellis writes him. He's a bit of a self-insert, and Darick Robertson also draws the character here, Spider Jerusalem, the main character, and he looks quite a bit like Warren Ellis. I'll put their 2 faces up here on the screen so you can check them out. And it's delightful. It's very well written. It's very smartly written. At times it can be infantile. At times it can be overly profane, overly vulgar. It can be indolent at times as well, but it can also be absolutely brilliant in the writing and how it's executed on the page. And the pencils and the inks and the colorization here by the creative team and Darick Robertson are just absolutely top-notch. So here's Spider Robinson at the start, or Spider Robinson, I keep calling him that, Spider Jerusalem at the start of the story, being phoned by his publisher, who's demanding that he fulfill his contract or else he'll be sued into debtor's prison, forcing him to come down as the wild man off of the mountain, the prophet, and has to come back into the city. And at this point, you get the idea that Spider Jerusalem is not your typical journalist. He's willing to, use guns, stomp on people's heads, scream and yell at people, do whatever he has to do in order to get his story. And as he's driving down the mountain, here's the one bar that gave him joy up on the mountain in the small town where he was living as a hermit up there, and he decides if he can enjoy it, nobody can enjoy it, and he blows it up with a rocket launcher. And then he progresses on down into the city, and you get this just wonderful art here by Darick Robertson in his portrayal of this 23rd century dystopian city in the United States of America. The artwork is just perfect for the subject matter. And then here's Spider Jerusalem stuck in traffic, so he gets out and just starts walking over the tops of the cars in order to get to the Word. And at the Word, he starts punching people, throwing smoke grenades in order to fight his way into the editor's office, where he arranges to get his old job back from his old editor. The editor gives him a pad to hang out at that's run by a computer AI. And his computer AI program that runs his apartment is addicted to drugs. It's addicted to a digital hallucinogenic that is known as a transistor 7.0. And so when he asks the computer to give him a bath, instead it removes every single hair follicle off of his body. And then from here, he's back in the town. He's ready to start his crusade as a gonzo journalist against all the institutions of power, whether those be the government, religion, social orders that he's going after, social groups. There is no target that is beyond his laptop that he carries with him in the execution of his duties as this combative journalist who would do anything in order to get to the truth. And it's written very well. So the plot of the first three stories, Transmetropolitan 1, Transmetropolitan 2, and Transmetropolitan 3, is a story arc about Spider Robertson covering a successionist movement within the city in the poor section of Angels 8. It's a slum inside of the city. They're trying to secede from the United States of America, and they want to become part of this alien race species. That's, I think, Vega 8 is where they're from. And they are transforming their bodies, becoming transhumanist by using genetic DNA technology in order to slowly morph themselves over into likenesses of these alien beings. But it's only halfway working, and they're being led by Fred Christ, is just so that he can have more sex with underage girls. And I like this aspect of it because here Warren Ellis, a normal writer would just go after the government as this oppressive government that doesn't see or recognize people's rights to exercise their individual will, to live their life however they want, and is just oppressing these transhumanist people. But Warren Ellis goes after it from both sides. He paints both sides as a bunch of idiots. The government is just these oppressive thugs, and the transhumanists are these people who have been misled, they're easily duped, and they're following a guy who is simply using them in order to have more sex. And so there's no body in here, there's no entity that is above his scrutiny, above his cynicism and critique that he throws into the book here. And it's great stuff. I really liked how he didn't just take the easy path, and he does a really good job of writing it from a realistic perspective that looks at the flaws and foibles of all the entities that are involved in this dystopian society. But at the end of the day, Spider Jerusalem, with his journalistic skills, with his combative manner, is able to fight his way into the Angels 8 district, and then he's broadcasting live. He's typing out his story live as the government police forces come in and are actually trying to exterminate all the transhumanists. And through his journalism, he's able to stop the police. His live broadcasts bring enough pressure on the government within the city to withdraw the police forces, and he saves Fred Christ and his transhumanists, the ones that are left. But then the police find him and beat him into a pulp and tell him to never interfere with him again. And then at the end of comic issue number 3, after he has been beaten to a pulp by the police forces, here is Spider Jerusalem after he's taken his beating, and his response is, "I'm here to stay. Shoot me and I'll spit your GD bullets back in your face. I'm Spider Jerusalem, and F all of you." So that's his announcement to the city and all the beings in power, all the power structures within this society, that he's here to stay and he's here to exercise his journalistic efforts in order to make the city a better place. And even though it's vulgar and even though it's juvenile in parts, there actually is a positive message in here inside of all of this filth, all of this misery that Warren Ellis depicts in this dystopian city that he's created here 2 centuries forward. You've got this positive message that if you're a good journalist who fights for getting the story, who puts the truth out there, no matter what the truth is, that you actually can have a positive effect upon society. And the other thing that I like about Warren Ellis in these comic books, he doesn't take the low road and he skewers everybody. This is a anarchist, extreme libertarian viewpoint that's put into the pages here of Transmetropolitan, and it's a joy to read if you like that thing. But if you're willing to take a risk, if you're willing to step outside of your normal bounds and try something different, this is really well written. The art is really well done. The art style fits perfectly into the genre that Warren Ellis is writing here, the art style by Darick Robertson, and it's an excellent read. And then he goes after religion. And It seems like in this one that he goes a bit too far, but in this issue here, where he spends the entire issue dressed up as Jesus Christ, wearing a pair of Air Jesus shoes that let him walk on water and the air, wearing a fake halo and a fake Jesus beard, and attacking people, it seems like it goes a bit too far in its critiques of exposing all of these religious groups. And he goes after every religious group imaginable. But it is 1997, so most of it does wind up centered on Christianity, but he's an equal opportunity offender here. But he goes after them as charlatans and fakes who are just trying to get money and delude the people. He starts destroying their tables within the religious district and calling them out for the charlatans that they are. And it is actually a reenactment of Jesus in the temple and the money changers, where Jesus goes after the money changers. So it becomes, in a way, a pro-Christianity, pro-Jesus message at the end of this anti-Christian, anti-religious comic book. And I'm sure that Warren Ellis intended that when he wrote this comic. He knew exactly what he was doing. And it's just a brilliant stroke. And it's emblematic of a lot of the brilliant writing that you get in these issues here in Transmetropolitan, which is why it was such a popular comic book for the 60-issue run that it went on. And in addition here in Transmetropolitan, it was very prescient. It was very prescient about what was going to happen with journalism in the future here in the year 2024, what was going to happen with social trends in the year 2024, and it predicts in a large way the development of the extreme gonzo journalism that you have going on today, where you don't get objective viewpoints. All you get are subjective, highly partisan viewpoints from one side or the other that aren't the truth. And Spider Robertson is here trying to right the ship. But it's remarkable in how prescient it was as the things that are going on here today. That in itself is worth the read here on Transmetropolitan. Now, on these here that I bought, this is the issue number 1. I bought this in a comic book shop back in 1997. And this came with a special promotion with it. It came with an issue of the newspaper that Spider Journalism works for. It came with this insert here, this promotion of the Word. And this is pretty remarkable. This was a nice promotion that they put into it. It's a little newspaper clipping from Spider Jerusalem's newspaper. And here it's talking about the Angels 8 District, which is the story arc from the first 3 comic books. And there's a picture of Fred Christ, the leader of the transhumanist movement, with the title Angels 8 District Torn Apart by Body Pervert Demo. And then it has Spider Jerusalem down here with a quote from Spider Jerusalem. And inside of the Word, the late edition, you get a column here by Spider Jerusalem. You have a ad for Ebola Cola. And then over here in the Lonely City, next week's drugs. It's a drug advert. And then you have TV highlights. And in the TV highlights, you have Gotcha, home videos of horrifically bloody and deeply disturbing domestic accidents. Sounds familiar. You have Sex Puppets, delightfully lighthearted educational show, The Sex Puppets. Slide, mildly psychoactive visual wave effects combined with coda drum patterns and classified subliminal signals to gently chew holes in your frontal lobe. Followed by Geriatricide, killing poverty-stricken old people for fun and profit. And it is just a great satire and lampooning of 1997 society and today's society, which has seemed to continue these trends. And then you get a great little pinup poster here on the back of Spider Jerusalem standing over the city. And it reads, "In the city, lies are news and the truth is obsolete." And isn't that the truth today? But that is today's comic book. If you're familiar with Transmetropolitan, let me know what you think down in the comments section. If you're not familiar with it, let me know what it looks like to you. If this looks like something that would be up your alley, something that you would enjoy, or if it's not something that you would enjoy. It is definitely different. I will say this, it does not take political sides. So if you're worried you're going to be offended, that it's going to offend your politics, it's an equal opportunity offender. It goes after everything that is any type of an institution that has any type of control over a human being's self-determination. It is very much an anarchist, extreme libertarian viewpoint of personal freedoms and the truth exposing lies and corruption in order to make a better society. That's the bottom line of what the thrust of this comic book is. And it is a genius comic book in a lot of ways. But with that, I've talked long enough. I'm going to wrap this one up for Transmetropolitan, and I'm going to say take care, be safe, and I will catch you guys next time.